despite government's countermeasures.
Well, I like the move. It's a good move. Fully support of it. And I encourage all Nigerians that all of us should come out massively and do it. If they want to kill us, let them kill us all.
The Malian army assures of a continuous fight against the rebels in the north after suffering heavy human and material losses. Ghana's parliament passes long-awaited affirmative action bill after years of unsuccessful attempts, and the Liberian presidency suspends the governor of Central Bank for irregularities and lack of compliance with operational codes.
The audit discovered very significant non-compliance matters at the CBL. The president has hereby suspended from office without pay and with immediate effect pending the result of an investigation, the governor of the Central Bank of Liberia.
Stay with us for details of these stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. Let's begin in Nigeria, where the clock is ticking and a majority of citizens are counting down to the nationwide #End Bad Governance protest on August 1. President Bola Tinubu is in the meantime intensifying efforts to prevent the demonstrations from escalating into chaos. On Tuesday, the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, George Akume, represented President Tinubu at the inauguration of the Southern Nigeria Traditional Rulers Council in the southeastern state of Imo. WAD's Usman Omar reports.
As the planned protest approaches, a flurry of activity has ensued, with government officials, non-governmental organizations and other groups weighing in on the debate. In Imo State, the president's envoy, George Akume, urged traditional rulers to calm restless youths. Meanwhile, several groups, including Arewa Youth Assembly for Good Leadership, have withdrawn their support for the protest after further consultations, citing a change of heart. Abdul Dambature is the national speaker of the assembly.
We are at the point officially and collectively withdraw from the nationwide protest. We therefore call all the youth in northern Nigeria to suspend every participation in the protest and do everything possible to protect our land and nation from every form of violence, as it is not to our interest.
As tensions rise, Nigerians continue to share their opinions on the issue.
Well, I like the move. It's a good move. Fully support of it. And I encourage all Nigerians that all of us should come out massively and do it. If they want to kill us, let them kill us all.
If Nigeria can come out, not to fight, but to tell the president, this suffering that he's getting, this is all getting in 1 year, but people are dying.
It is the right of people to protest whenever there's something which is against them, you understand? But in this situation, I prefer Nigerians to go on round table and to settle the matters than to go on this thing, on the road.
The government has pledged to address protesters' grievances through peaceful dialogue as thousands prepare to demonstrate across the country in August, demanding economic reforms and better governance. With the deadline looming, President Tinubu's administration is running against time to resolve the crisis. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar, reporting from Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has said security agencies will under no circumstances allow a repeat of the 2020 EndSARS protest where lives and properties were lost. The IGP stated this at a meeting with heads of parliamentary agencies on Tuesday. He reiterated the commitment and preparedness of the police force to protect all peaceful protesters. The police chief had earlier on Tuesday engaged leaders of some protesting groups virtually and asked them to demonstrate at select locations instead of street procession to allow the police to provide adequate security. He cited misfortunes experienced during the EndSARS protest as reasons for his request.
As the Nigerian police were in possession of credible intelligence, indicating that some elements are planning to cause violent disruption of the peace of Nigeria. And it is important for us to recognize this and accept that some people really want violence. We have history of violent protests in Nigeria, and we know that from experience that every violent protest has been followed by violent crimes, like we witnessed during the EndSARS protests in Lagos especially, where police stations were burnt down, and those police stations that were burnt down, their armories were also looted, arms went into wrong hands, criminals became stronger. We also had situations where public infrastructure were destroyed, worth trillions of naira, where private businesses were looted and destroyed. We recorded job losses in several thousands. That is not good for our economy. I don't think we want a repeat of that today. That is the reason why I believe that as committed Nigerians, we should come together, discuss ways of ventilating our angers against government rather than going violent.
However, at the end of the virtual meeting with Kayode Egbetokun, the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police, leaders of the groups refused his request and insisted the protest will go as planned. In Mali, the head of the Army Public Relations Directorate has clarified after last week's violent clashes between the army and rebels in the northern region. In a statement broadcast on national television, Colonel Major Suleiman Dembele acknowledged the loss of life without giving further details on the number of casualties. The Information Department of the Malian Army also denounced attempts to degrade the army. Here is Tisu with a report filed in by WADR's Aliyu Cham in Bamako.
In an interview on national television, ORTM, the Armed Forces Director of Information and Public Relations provided an update on the recent clashes between Malian troops and rebels from the Permanent Strategic Framework. The gunfight took place at Tinzawaten in the north of the country. Colonel Major Suleiman Dembele confirmed deaths on both sides with no further details on numbers.
Avec la zone très montagneuse.
Due to the mountainous terrain, we were unable to assess the situation. But all we can say is that there have been material and human losses on both sides. The operation continues. The farmer will never deny their regal mission and are committed to this cause. Despite their variations, they will fight to the last breath.
During the battle, several news reports and videos circulated on mainstream and social media concerning a possible army defeat. According to the head of Army Relations Directorate, this was an attempt to malign the Malian armed forces.
C'est la guerre informationnelle, c'est la guerre communicationnelle que
the media is a tool to spread the word. It is the information war that our country is suffering, that the Malian armed forces have been suffering for years. A case of the media denigrating and bringing poverty to our forces. And we believe that the Malian population knows that these are attempts to destabilize our country. These are attempts to denigrate our army, which has been rising in power for almost 2 to 3 years.
Depuis bientôt 2 à 3 ans de monter en puissance.
Colonel Dembele points out that FAMA will continue their mission to recapture lost territories, protect the population and their property.
A report by WADR's Aliyu Cham in Bamako and voiced by Tisu. Still in the Sahel, the Burkinabe government has launched a free eye campaign to include surgery for people with cataracts and restore sight to anyone with eye problems. Flagged off by Captain Ibrahim Traore, the exercise in partnership with Islamic Development Bank (IDB) and Islamic Relief France (CIF) targets over 13,000 people across 13 regions of Burkina Faso. Already 4,000 people suffering from cataracts have been identified for free surgery in public health facilities such as regional and district hospitals. According to Isawe Draogo, Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, this is the second free cataract surgery project by the government for a condition that plagues rural dwellers. Cataract, an eye lens disease that opposes vision, is associated with trauma and is considered a major public health issue in the Sahelan country.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, we're live on WADR.org, on Facebook at WADR English Service, and on YouTube at WADR. Here in Senegal, the government has officially launched a national action plan to combat human trafficking and is calling on everyone to take action. The launching event held in Dakar on Tuesday coincided with the global commemoration of the International Day Against Human Trafficking in Persons. This theme is child trafficking with the slogan, Let's leave no child behind in the fight against human trafficking. The occasion was attended by government officials, civil society organizations, and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, among other partners. Details with Augustine Colley.
Trafficking in persons is reportedly increasing, especially in Kédougou, a gold mining region of Senegal near Mali. The victims are mainly women and children who are sexually exploited, forced into begging, and subjected to forced labor in gold mines. Mother Njai serves as the Permanent Secretary General of the National Anti-Trafficking Unit of Senegal.
It's our 5th plan of action, and for these past 2 years, Senegal has made a significant effort, which gave him a good ranking in the US TIP report. But still, despite all this effort, we still have too many kids being exploited, suffering in silence. But it's a complex and difficult type of crime to fight. With our plan of action, we're trying to do as much as possible to tackle this issue.
The Senegalese government is collaborating with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, to implement this national action plan against trafficking. Amadou Philip de Andres, UNODC Regional Director for West and Central Africa, emphasizes the need to strengthen regional and inter-regional cooperation to fight against human trafficking.
In my opinion, as a regional representative of the UN, I would say 5 areas of action for the UN with Senegal and with the region. I first see the importance of strengthening the criminal justice system, the magistrates, the judicial police, even the gendarmerie. We must continue to strengthen the criminal justice system. The victims are increasingly drug users. Drug consumption in the region between 2024 and 2030 will increase by 74%.
Statistics for Senegal show that more than 15 convictions of suspected traffickers have been secured, and over 474 criminal justice personnel have received training. In terms of protection and prevention, more than 217 victims, including 27 minors, have been rescued from trafficking situations and provided with care.
Augustine Kole with that report. Away from Senegal, Ghana's parliament has finally passed the long-awaited Affirmative Action Bill after years of unsuccessful attempts. The bill, which had been pending for over a decade, aims to promote and increase the active participation of women in public life, targeting a minimum female representation rate of at least 30% by 2030. Meanwhile, the Speaker of Parliament, Albert Bangbin, has urged citizens and lawmakers not just to celebrate the symbolic milestones, but to actively work towards realizing the vision set for Ghana's future. Emphasizing the need for constitutional reforms, he highlighted the importance of creating a free and just society that empowers women to contribute significantly to the development of the nation. From Accra, Nadir Tete completes the story.
Over the years, Ghana has struggled with low representation of women and other marginalized groups. The number of women in leadership positions at both local and national levels is disappointing, as the country has failed to meet the UN target of 30% participation of women. Article 17, Clause 4 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana states that nothing prevents Parliament from enacting a law when there is clear historical evidence of gender discrimination. After many unsuccessful attempts over the past decade and heated debates in Parliament on Tuesday, the Affirmative Action Bill 2024 was passed. The bill, now awaiting the assent of President Akufo-Addo, aims to address social, cultural, economic and political gender imbalances in the country.
Honourable members, the ayes have it. The Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act 2024 duly read the third time and passed.
An act to provide affirmative action for gender equity in the public and private sectors and for related matters.
Speaking to the media in Parliament after the proceedings, MP for Ketu South and one of the key supporters of the bill, Ablaji Fagumashi, acknowledged that while the legislation does not solve every issue facing Ghanaian women, she welcomed the bill's passage.
It's law, it's in black and white, but so are many other laws in this country. Do we obey all of them? Do we enforce all of them? Is the reason why I'm cautious not to outdo myself or be too excited to forget the realities.
The Affirmative Action Bill 2024, among others, also mandates that all sectors reserve a percentage from 30% of their employment for women and encourages political parties to adopt voluntary quotas to enhance women's participation in politics. For WADR, Nadidi Teti, Accra.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Majority of youth in Nigeria insist on participating in the hashtag and bad governance protest despite government countermeasures. The Malian army assures of a continuous fight against rebels in the north after suffering heavy human and material losses. Ghana's parliament passes the long-awaited affirmative action bill after years of unsuccessful attempt. Still ahead in the news, the Liberian presidency suspends the governor of Central Bank for irregularities and lack of compliance with operational codes. We also have the press review, guest interview, and a sports update. Please stay with us.
You are listening to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal.
Many thanks for staying with us. Liberian President Joseph Boakai has suspended the governor of the Central Bank, Aloysius Taliu, following an audit of the Apex Bank by the General Auditing Commission. According to Information Minister Jero Limek Pia, this decision comes after the release of an audit report which details significant financial irregularities at the bank from January 1, 2018 to December 31, 2023. The findings by the Auditing Commission show that the management of the Central Bank of Liberia exceeded approved expenditure limits from fiscal year 2018 to 2022 by an estimated $19.31 million. Additionally, the audit found that approved budget expenditure projections consistently surpassed revenue projections, indicating a pattern of deficit financing. Here is Information Minister Pierre addressing the press on Tuesday.
The audit discovered very significant non-compliance matters at the CBL. The audit revealed, among other findings, that the CBL honored the administration of the current governor, honor his supervision, in compliance with the CBL Act of 1999 as amended and restated in 2020. That consistent also with the Revenue Code of Liberia Act of 2011, Public Financial Management Act PFN of 2009 and its regulations. For the purpose of the serious allegations of non-compliance and gross failure to perform his fiduciary responsibilities contained in the audit report, the situation at the central bank is considered fluid and further determinations will be made depending on the available information. But as of the moment, the President has hereby suspended from office without pay and with immediate effect pending the result of an investigation of the audit funding the governor of the Central Bank of Liberia.
Jero Limek Pia is Liberia's Minister of Information.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
For the press review today, Wednesday, the 31st of July, 2024, we join WADR's Nadiri Tete in Accra, Ghana.
Greetings. Let's find out what the dailies are reporting today in Accra, front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Minority Leader Dr. Kasia Latoforsen and Richard Jakpa freed Attorney General to appeal. Other stories here. 6 new universities to be ready by December. That is attributed to the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. Let's now go to the Daily Guide newspaper front page. Ghana education makes significant strides. 2.37 million euros ambulance case. Atto Forson and Richard Jakpa freed Attorney General to appeal decision of the court. Now to the Daily Post newspaper front page. Sami Jimfi, who is the National Communications Officer of the NDC, schools Attorney General Godfrey Dame on why Court of Appeals threw out his case against Honorable Atto Forson. To the Chronicle newspaper now. The rebirth of Ghana's education under President Akufo-Addo as told by Education Minister. Also here on the front page, New Shippers Authority law will sanitize shipping industry. To the publisher newspaper now, Akufo-Addo distributes construction equipment to MMDAs today, and that's it for the publisher newspaper. To the Informer newspaper now, ambulance trial case. Attorney General disagrees with court, vows to appeal against what he describes as a perverse decision. Other stories here as well. Credit score system apt, UK researcher says so. The Finder newspaper has on its front page, Ghana Stock Exchange posts robust growth, and Court of Appeal frees Ato Forson and Jakpa Attorney General hints of appeal. Now we'll end with the Herald newspaper front page, tension brewing between CDS Chief of Defense Staff and Army Commander over money and accommodation as Lieutenant General Opompepra refuses to vacate official bungalow. And YEA to support GES with 100,000 personnel, dubbed School Support Program. And final headline here, bruised AG goes on ego trip after defeat but gets caution from GBA and others. That'll be it for what the dailies are reporting today in Accra. It's back to you in the studio.
Many thanks, Nadiri Titi.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
With time ticking and tension rising, fear looms in Nigeria ahead of the hashtag End Bad Governance nationwide protest. Countermeasures and engagements between the federal government and some protesting groups has done just little to calm tension as organizers demand immediate reforms to address the socioeconomic challenges being faced by poor Nigerian households. Well, joining us is a political analyst, Damilare Ebenezer.
I think the best English way to describe what the situation has been for a few days now, and we are a few minutes to the climax, I would say, is apprehension. Nobody actually knows what to expect tomorrow, except that there is going to be a major break of law and order across the country, and that to ordinary Nigerians, I mean, the primary focus now is how to stay safe and how to probably store enough food in the house for the coming week, because based on the information I got even this morning, public transport is going to be impacted. We're all praying that common sense is going to prevail and calm is going to return for a meaningful dialogue about the future of this country.
So already, do you have a situation that says or speaks to the suspension of businesses, for instance, if banks are closed already, shopping malls and other services?
What has been going on is that I heard today that some major company in oil and gas industry have advised their employees to work from home. I was in a meeting yesterday with some partners outside the country, and for the first time, my internet was unstable. I've been doing this meeting virtually every week since April, and it has never happened before. I have two lines. On the second line, the internet is not working at all. And I know that the security, something is going on the internet connectivity in the country, but the businesses are trying to see how they can. The focus now is the safety of their employees. Really, there is so much fear in the country. Nobody knows what to expect, and the reason for this is clear. Really, if you permit me to go into that, the reason why there's a lot of apprehension, a lot of tension in the city, is that in October 2020, when the same mass protest took place in Lekki, Tollgate, and everything and all of that, that protest was not about hunger. It was about putting an end to police brutality. Yes, some Nigerians might still be poor then, but they didn't think government was the reason for their poverty at that time, for their starving, because this is hunger now, really. It's an hunger strike. What you hear on social media, on TV, and everywhere is that we are hungry, really. That's the message. But the cause of the apprehension is that if people were not hungry during EDSA, and there were that level of violence and vandalizations and looting and people property being destroyed, try and imagine what will happen now with the level of hunger in the land.
Damilare Beniza is a political analyst. Up next is sports news with Sankule Janko.
Hello all there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Morocco's Olympic football team delivered a masterclass performance on Tuesday evening, securing their place in the quarterfinals of the Paris 2024 men's football tournament after a resounding 3-0 victory over Iraq. In the 19th minute, Amir Richardson displayed remarkable agility finish of a well-orchestrated team move to break the deadlock. According to the CAF official website, the Moroccan onslaught continued and just 10 minutes later, Sofiane Rahimi doubled their lead with a clinical finish that left the Iraqi defense in disarray. The first half was completed in the 36th minute when the highly rated Abdel Ezelawi added a third, effectively ending Iraq's resistance and securing Morocco's passage to the next round. Elsewhere, Egypt produced a stunning performance to defeat Spain 2-1 in their final Group C match of the men's Olympic football tournament, securing top spot and a place in the quarterfinals. The match held at the Mahmoud Atlantic Stadium on Tuesday afternoon, so Egypt overcame early Spanish dominance to claim a victory that few had predicted. The breakthrough came just before halftime when Zizou's surging run down the right flank set up Ibrahim Abdel, who called a magnificent shot past Spanish goalkeeper from the edge of the area. Abdel, the star of Egypt's under-23 AFCON campaign, doubled his tally and Egypt's lead in the 59th minute, capitalizing on the defensive error by John Pacheco to slot home coolly, according to CAF official website. Spain pushed for a response and found a consolation to Samuel Omorodion in the 90th minute, but it was too little, too late for the European side. The result sees Egypt finish top of Group C with 7 points, leapfrogging Spain, who ended the group stage in second place with 6 points. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
Sports is brought to you by Sankule Janko. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Krista Mukidi and Maudio Juve for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our gender program, 50-50, with Nadir Teti taking you through. By 1 p.m., Alpha Bubakar will bring you the second edition of our comprehensive news package in French Info Chivu. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks